Hello friends, Adam here with FED. I've been thinking a lot about what makes Fire Emblem special, what makes it stand apart from other strategy games or just other RPGs in general. And there's one thing in particular that really does it for me, and we're going to talk about that today. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like Fire Emblem content and of course Fire Emblem Engage and all that. Also make sure to like the video. Helps other people find it and helps the channel grow. It's an easy thing you can do to support us here at FED. Okay, so I was playing Tactics Ogre Reborn. Really fun game. I love it. I've loved it so far, and I also really enjoy Final Fantasy Tactics. I enjoy all sorts of strategy games. I just like RPGs in general. I love Final Fantasy games. I love Chrono Trigger. I love Xenoblade. I love a lot of these kinds of JRPGs, right? But there is one thing that Fire Emblem has that a lot of these don't. And that is information, or easily digestible information readily available to the player. So let's take a look at Tactics Ogre, because again, it's a more recent game now, with Reborn being it's like a remake. And let's take a look at some of the information in this game. It's a little hard to know how much damage you're going to do in certain scenarios, or how much damage you might take. It's honestly kind of frustrating in that way. I have a hard time really thinking about what I'm going to do when I don't know how well my units are really going to perform in any given situation. And it's because of stuff like this. If you look at the screen right now, you'll see a bunch of numbers and whatever variables. This is the damage formula for like physical attacks or whatever. And it just it's so much that you're not going to just calculate this at every opportunity, Compare this to Fire Emblem, where it's literally as simple as attack minus defense equals damage output. And of course, there's some small things here and there that can affect that, but it's always readable. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if you add Death Blow, maybe you just have to add 6 to your attack, and then you know what it's going to be. Or if you have Darting Blow, you have to add 6 to your attack speed, and you'll know what it's going to be easily. There's no percentage modifiers are really annoying in this and that kind of stuff, because that makes it harder to digest as well. That's actually a big problem I have with Fire Emblem Heroes, by the way. I recently started playing Fire Emblem Heroes again. Don't know why. I just did. Honestly, it's probably because I'm up at night feeding babies. They wake up in the middle of the night and they're like, wow, they give me food. And I'm like, okay, I'll get you some food. Calm down. But I just need something to do while I'm feeding them so I don't fall asleep. So Fire Emblem Heroes has kind of been my thing I do while I'm feeding the kids so I don't fall asleep holding them, because that would be bad. Anyways, I feel like I just don't know how much damage anything is ever going to do. And the game lies to me constantly. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to have my Celica attack this freaking Fire Emblem Heroes OC guy that's on fire or whatever, and attack him, and it says oh, you're gonna do 40 times 2 damage or whatever, and then you do the combat and it's oh, just kidding, you actually only did 10 damage because he has a special skill that reduces damage by 87% on Tuesdays and when you're wearing a turtleneck sweater. It's just complete nonsense, and it's hard to keep up with, right? And you have problems like that in other strategy games as well. Again, like Tactics Ogre, I think you find a little bit of that in Final Fantasy Tactics. I think it's less of a problem there because numbers don't get as insane as far as stats go. And that was actually honestly my biggest problem with Dark Deity as well. If any of you played Dark Deity, you know that your damage output was affected by way too many things to keep track of, and it was all percentage based. So if you were using a slashing weapon, and if they were wearing chainmail or something, it reduced the damage that you would do by 15% or something, or something weird like that. Or if you had piercing and it was and they were wearing chainmail or something, then it would deal more damage. It was all sorts of this random crap like that was really hard to keep track of. You could just kind of be like, oh, I know I'm going to do more damage to this guy, but I don't know how much. Fire Emblem, on the other hand, allows you to plan your turn in a way that is, I don't want to say exact, But it breaks it down to a science where you can really predict what's going to happen, especially once you understand how the AI acts in Fire Emblem. And it's different from game to game, but once you learn it, you can really take advantage of it. And it's such a rewarding feeling being able to predict enemy movements. I love that about Fire Emblem. Now, there's plenty of other things that make Fire Emblem special, right? There's the characters. You know, there's not very many games out there that have a strong focus on such a large cast of characters. Even Three Houses, which just has a relatively small cast compared to other games in the series. Every character is unique, has their own personality, side stories, things going on, and they're done really, really well. And even then, with the smaller cast, it's more than pretty much any other like JRPG out there, right? It's really well done and fun that way. And all the characters, every character has someone that likes them. That character is someone's favorite, if that makes sense. So like me personally, I don't really care for Caspar. I think he's kind of annoying, but I'm sure there's someone out there who thinks Caspar is like their spirit animal and loves him, right? It just works that way. So colorful cast of characters that are all unique and cool, and that's very good. Fire Emblem is just so unique, man. Let me know in the comments. What do you think makes Fire Emblem as unique as it is? Why do you love it so much? Is it, I don't know, maybe it could be like the storytelling or something. I don't know. But for me, it really is. It breaks down to gameplay that I can control. Another thing that sets it apart, actually, that really plays into this like control factor that you have as the player, is that you get to move all of your units at the same time. You get to move all your units at the same time before the end, and then the enemy gets to move all their units at the same time. It creates an easier opportunity to pull off cool combos and skill combos and character interactions that otherwise would be kind of difficult to pull off. If you look at something like Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics, you take turns moving based on a unit's speed stat essentially, and they can only act once their speed stat gets their turn value up to 100. It's a bunch of nonsense. But essentially, you take turns moving your units. It's more like chess that way, instead of in Fire Emblem where you get to move your entire army. And that just plays into the control that is given to the player. I feel like I feel like Fire Emblem in general just gives the player a lot of control and freedom that other games don't. At least on the battlefield. I mean, if you play Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre or other RPGs and whatnot, there's plenty of customization in classes and skills and stuff like that. But I think it is the ability to move all your units at the same time is very good for the player. And I think it really just comes down to Fire Emblem being less about, in this instance here, this factor, Fire Emblem is less about individual units and more about your like army composition. It's almost like your entire army is your character, and you build it in a way to take on different challenges and make your one like ginormous army or singular character kind of thing prepared for any situation. Really cool. I don't know. Now I'm just rambling, so I'm going to end the video. But thanks for watching, guys. Again, leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you guys think about this topic. What makes Fire Emblem unique for you? What do you think makes it stand apart from other JRPGs and other strategy games? I'd love to hear it. Do you think it's the focus on digestible information, or do you think there's something else at play for you personally? Of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and please like the video. It helps other people find the channel. It's a simple thing you can do to help out FED. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, friends.